already seen this side of the cross-member transfer case skid plate. Now let me just show you the side that I really like, the top side. This is where we're able to add the strength. Once again, we kept ground clearance loss to a minimum, and actually we're right at factory or better, and we added the strength on the top side. We're able to do this with, once again, a familiar feature, our doubler plate. We are now at 9/16 of an inch in this area, and we're at 3/8 here in the center. To throw some numbers at you again, this is now stronger than 3/16 steel. On the front side, we built this drop down into it so that we can run our factory exhaust through here. There are 0 exhaust modifications required, and this will clear up to a 3.5-inch cross pipe, which we've never even run even on our biggest Hemis, our 420-inch motors. The cross pipe coming over is a 2.5, 2 3/4 pipe. So we're well within that tolerance, so we can clear anything here. With this additional clearance, you do not have to worry about a rattle in your exhaust, which is prevalent when people are a little too worried about clearances. As we move back, we have the doubler plate again. You'll see our cross members in the most susceptible areas. We also run our cross member all the way across the back side. The features you can kind of see to cover once again our tripler plate and our doubler plate to get that strength. Now, one of the more novel concepts on this skid plate was how we attach the two. A lot of the skid plates out there don't spend a lot of time creating a uniform solution underneath the Jeep, and we did. And we did this without any additional bolts on the bottom side to catch on rocks or to just get in your way and get rid of that nice clean look. So what we did is we have 4 attachment points on the side here, which grabs right into the gas tank skid plate. And we also have a 1/2-inch bolt which grabs into the back side, which is another novel solution, so we don't have that bolt coming up from the bottom side. So let me just set this aside, grab the gas tank skid plate, and I'll show you how these two pieces come together. So here on the table we've placed our cross-member transfer case skid and our gas tank skid in a close approximation of how they're going to go together. And you can kind of make out how some of this hardware is going to line up. Before we proceed with that, I just want to reiterate that the gas tank skid plate is the cornerstone piece of our skid plate system. In order to use our cross-member skid and our oil pan skid, you must have our gas tank skid. However, if you want to use the gas tank skid and then retain your factory transfer case skid plate, that is entirely possible. It just takes a little bit of trimming and everything still lines up and fits just fine. So let's cover this component I'm holding in my hand. Instead of having the bolt running up from the bottom where it's susceptible to damage and just does not provide that nice clean look we're going for, we designed this bracket. And what it does is attach right here into this pocket that's built for one of the mounting bolts. We install it there with our clip nuts so that you just have our 3/8 bolts run right in there, and that's going to hold it in place for you. So let me just put a couple bolts in here just to hold it in place so you can get the idea of how this is all going to go together. Now with that in place, and it's adjustable, so it can slide up and down just in case there's some slight variations in your Jeep. You can pop that up and it just slides right in. Now you can see how they're going together. So the question is how are we doing that? Well, on this back side, we have a 1-inch piece of aluminum that we have tapped. That allows us to use a 1/2-inch bolt and drop in right from the top. So let's put this back together again. Sit right there. You run the 1/2-inch bolt in. And then we have these 4 positions. Once again, using clip nuts and grade 8 bolts, we will run in 4 of these 3/8 bolts. Now what this is doing is we've created essentially an I-beam. And now we have all this material, don't forget about the doubler on the back side, and we've added significant amount of strength to this seam. In effect, eliminating a seam. We're not using 2 1/4-inch bolts and a little piece of strap to hold this together. We take this seriously. With this I-beam, we're also adding additional strength to the gas tank skid plate side of this, and you are not going to fold that. You can hit it as hard as you want, as you may have seen in some of our testing videos, and it's not going to go anywhere. This is some of that innovation when we are tying these two together and we are not adding a single bolt on the bottom side. The best part is all of this hardware is very easy and accessible when it's being installed in the vehicle. We made sure of that, and that's one of the things we do, and that's why we use so many clip nuts, is that you can get on these bolts. We're not worried about the backside. They hold up, they're nice and tight. One last feature we have here on the backside is we designed a brace that affixes itself here onto our cross member and runs up and grabs the factory cross member. So here we have some additional strength that is protecting this part from folding in its weakest area, and now it cannot do that. That is a piece that honestly is really overkill for 99% of the people that are out there, but if you like to go beat up your vehicle, we have the products for you. Let me come around and show you some of the things we did on the front side here. So you've seen this view of the skid plates previously in the video, but now you have an understanding of what we've done here and how we have tied these two plates together to provide you with an unparalleled strength in this area. Effectively, these are now one, and you're not going to see any deformation in this area. This seam is actually an exceptionally strong area. So as we move up and we look at this top side here, you may not have seen this view before because there was another skid plate on it. The reason we did that is because in this area, if we take a hard enough hit up top, or even down lower in the skid plate, it can cause a little bit of deformation in this area, and then that can create a lip that we can peel off if we hit it just right with a rock. We tried to do that. We could never get it to really happen, but it's an area where I didn't like it. So we developed this skid plate. And of course, it has our super pretty logo. And it's going to sit right across the top here. It's going to get rid of that seam, and so now any rocks that are coming across are going to just flow right down it. We don't have to worry about this seam because we have the protection from this feature. As we run down, we can also see how we drop this part of the skid plate down into this front portion of the gas tank skid plate. So now we're tying everything together even better, and now we've added 3/4 of an inch of material in this one area, in the most susceptible area. When we tested and tested, this is where the gas tank skid plates get hit. If you don't believe me, go take your Jeep through a boulder field and look at your gas tank skid plate right in this area, and you will see the damage it takes. Now that we've covered these two products in some detail, let's add the oil pan skid plate.